Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this lecture, we are going to learn about variables. So let's get started. Okay, so let's see what variables are. If I tell you in a very simple term, variables are data containers in which you could store data. Now, first I'll give you an example. See up here. Now you need to understand how we can create a variable. There are basically you can say three requirements to create a variable. The fourth one is optional. What is it? First, a variable first need to have an identifier, whether it can be a public variable or a private variable. If you don't know what is public or private, I have already made a video about identifiers, so you can check that out in the I button. Okay, so we say private. Okay, first requirement is done. Second, a variable needs to have a data type. Now you ask me, hey Saqib, what is data types? Buddy, data types are simple. We have divided different data types. Like we have different data types. Basically, what are those? Integer, like integer, string, float, bool. If you don't know about them, I'll tell you. No worry. So basically, int means integer. In integer data type, you can if your variable is data type of integer, then you can store whole numbers in that. Okay, whole numbers. I'll show you. Let's see our third requirement. So what is our third requirement? Our third requirement is that your variable needs to have a name. Now let's say player health. Player health. Simple. This is our variable player health. It is what of data type? Integer, and it is an identifier of private. It has a private identifier. Okay. Fourth one is optional. If you want, you can assign the value up here or you can assign it later. It's up to you. We'll assign it right now. So we can say 100. That I tell you. So if you say that instead of 100, I store a name like Saqib, it would give me an error because I say that the data type of it is integer. I cannot store any sentences in integer. I can only store whole numbers in integer. So I will say 100 again. Simple. Close it up. Very simple. Now let me tell you other three data types that you will use a lot in Unity. There are a lot of data types, but you basically need three. You're not going to need more than three. Okay. So what are those three data types? The first one is we have already done integer. The second one is your float. Float is basically simple. We store decimal numbers in float. So we can say, what do we say in float? We can say enemy health equals to 100 0.50 f. Keep in mind, it's important to put f at the end of the float. Now you probably have one question. Hey Saqib, so we can use integer, we can use float as an integer. Like if I want to use float as my player health also, why I'm not using it? Or why I'm using float for enemy health? Very good question. Now, one thing that you have to keep in mind, floats are slower than integer. Integer are faster. So whenever it is necessary to use float there only, otherwise use integer. So in this right here, it is better to use an integer instead of a float. Close it up. 100. Integers are basically faster than float. Okay. Now the third one is we have a string. Put private string. Okay, so let's say player name. We can say player name equals to, have to put this quotations before putting something. So we can say player name, let's say Sakab. My name. Simple. Player's name, Sakab. In string, you can basically store sentences. And your last one is private bool. And let's say is player alive. So we basically bool can store only two values, whether it can be true or it can be false. Simple. So we can say whether it is true or whether it will be false. Simple. Okay. Clear? These four things are clear. If you have any doubt, you can ask me in the comments. I hope these four things are clear. Now, this particular part is called declaration, and this part is called initialization. If the third requirement, if I close this, it means that I declare a variable. Okay, I declared a variable is player alive. I haven't initialized it yet. I haven't given it a value yet. So if I say equals to true, then I initialized it. This particular part is called initialization. So these are the things you have to keep in mind. Don't worry. I hope you understand the basics. When we will make our game, then you will understand the concepts of all of these things better. Okay, so don't worry. Continue through the series. If you have any doubt in anything, you can just ask me in the comment. Hope you like the video. I'll see you guys very soon. Bye bye.